Hello, friend. Henry Flowers here, Powerful Living Outreach Ministries. Once again, welcome to the podcast. It's going down today. I got some content today that I cannot wait to deliver. I've been chewing on this for about 3 months, waiting for the right moment to talk about this encounter that I had in downtown Cincinnati that changed my life. And it changed some other people's lives. So listen, wherever you get your podcasts, you want to find Powerful Living Outreach Ministries. Henry Flowers, just look it up wherever you get your podcasts. If you are in the Cincinnati area and you want to join us, you can call us at 513-404-7793. And you can give us a call. Leave a voicemail if you got content ideas, you got questions, comments, drop us a line. powerfulliving2022@gmail.com. You can contact us there as well. If you want to be at one of our empowerment sessions after the podcast, we are right here in Milford, Ohio, just outside of Cincinnati, east of Cincinnati, in Milford, Ohio, 1 block away from Milford High School or Milford Junior High School, whichever one you prefer. It's 5616 Wolf Pen, Pleasant Hill Road. The building is General Dentistry, but we are in the upper room.
Upper room.
Won't he do it? Won't he put you in the upper room? So we are in the upper room. Just come right on in. We will be here waiting on you because after the podcast, we work on some of these distinctions that we talk about together. Because listen, just make no mistake that Powerful Living Outreach Ministries is about helping people go from powerful church services and powerful sermons to powerful living. We want this gospel that's on the inside of us to show up on the outside of us. And it's just been so that for too many years, we've had powerful church services, and there's nothing wrong with that. Keep doing that. That's what he called us to do. Powerful sermons. Listen, I can deliver those with the best of them. Keep doing that. That's a good thing. And the next step is, how do we take the powerful life that Jesus Christ said he came for us to have? How do we take those principles and make our lives transform? Reach out to our neighbor and have their lives transformed. Be powerful in our relationships. And not just, folks, there's a whole bunch of folks going to church getting the word. But just somehow the word doesn't get in us. It's just somehow, it's just a human nature. And maybe it's because we don't practice these principles enough. But listen, Powerful Living Outreach Ministries, this is what we do. We practice these because we want things to show up in our lives. So that's who we are. I'm jumping right into the content. You better get ready. Hold on. I don't know how this is gonna go. It's gonna make some of you mad. It's gonna make some of you gonna get mad at this content right here. Because listen, we talking about moving from the world of ordinary to the world of extraordinary. You gonna make some folks mad. See, Jesus wasn't hated because he was ordinary. He was hated and despised and accused of things because there was something different about him. There's something different going on with this guy. We got to go and tell some folks about him and go tell the Roman Empire. We got to stop this madness that he's got going on down here. Man, listen, telling the truth will make folks mad at you. And even and especially folks that say they're on your team. Man, some of the folks that's some of the most godly people confessing Jesus Christ all day long. Man, you hit them the wrong way with truth at the wrong time, you'll see just as much worldliness come out of them as since the day before they were born again. There's truth. Jesus said, my word is truth. I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. You don't get to God but through me. That's what he said. So there are certain times where the truth will just get on your nerves. And one thing that I do want you to know, there's no getting on my nerves, because that is my grandbaby Caden down there. He is having a good time. So if you hear him cry out, it's because he's feeling the Holy Spirit. He's being convicted by the words that's going on up in here. That's all. So you ignore him, because this content is going to be more intense than he will be. I can promise you that. So we going right in. It was the summer of this year of 2022, I was downtown Cincinnati at Finley Park. Beautiful place. I had just dropped off some passengers. Many of you know I'm in the passenger transportation business. Won't name the company because they don't pay me to do that yet. It don't matter, okay? I'm dropping some passengers off, and I saw something that I knew I wasn't gonna overlook. I'm sitting in my car and something is on the right side of my shoulder saying, Henry, don't get out the car. And just down on the inside of me, there was something that's saying, I'm getting out the car. And that voice on my right shoulder said, Henry, don't get out the car. And just something, at this point, I didn't know what was on whose shoulder and what was on the inside of me. I didn't know if it was the Holy Ghost or if it was indigestion. I don't know. I just felt something on the inside of me saying, I'm getting out the car. And that voice said, Henry, don't get out the car. I said, I'm getting out the car. And I sat there for about 10 minutes thinking about why I'm getting ready to get out the car. It was a fire burning on the inside of me. And at that moment, I did not know what I was about to do. I knew I was getting out the car. I didn't know what I was going to do after that. You want to know what happened, don't you? You want to know what happened? You might want to know what happened. I pull up to Finley Park, and there's a group of people on the corner. We'll say about 10 of them. 10 white folks. That ain't necessarily important, but you'll understand why it's important as I go into this content. 10 white folks of various ages, young and old. And with them were these very large, full color pictures that displayed dismembered babies. Now, this wasn't the first time that I had seen this, but this was the first time where it grabbed me the way it did. And I sat in that car, and I'm getting out of the car. And so here I am getting out of the car, and I'm looking for who I'm getting ready to talk to. So here's the deal. I walk up to this guy. He looked like he was probably about 25 to 28 years old. And I'm walking up to this picture, and I'm literally overcome with something. Like my hands are trembling. And what I'm feeling on the inside of me is not fear. Like, it's not even anger. It's something else that I had never felt before. Listen, I've been talking to people for years, man. I've been going out meeting people, starting churches, going out doing evangelism. I ain't intimidated about meeting people. When I introduce myself to people, I talk to them like I've known them for years. That's just how I do it. I ain't scared of nobody because I know you're human and I know some things about you automatically. But man, this time there was something on the inside of me that was fired up and I couldn't understand it. It just happened in the moment. And I walked over behind this really, really large picture of this dismembered baby. I walked over to this male, and there was another white male standing there next to him, a little taller guy. He was probably about 20. He was a little younger. So this white male here is about 28, and this younger guy, a little taller, he's about 20. And I got around the side of the picture where I could no longer see the dismembered baby parts. And I said to the young man, I said, I just want to ask you a question about this picture. Do you have time to talk? I said, I just want to ask you a question about this picture. He says, yeah, go ahead. I said, here's my question. How is this picture helpful to our cause? Now listen to the words that I asked him, because this is very important. I said, how is this picture helpful to what? To our cause. So he jumps in and immediately says, well, let me ask you a question. He drops his head, puts one hand in his pocket, and starts almost like kicking rocks, moving the dirt around, right? Without even looking at me, he says, let me ask you a question. When does life begin? Okay. I may not be able to get through this. I may not be able to get through this in one podcast, y'all. Because, listen, so one thing that I don't tolerate is allowing somebody to control the narrative, especially when I'm trying to get information. So the one thing that is really clear that people do a lot is they want to answer the question with a question. So I said to him, I said, hold on a second. I said, hold on a second now. I said, before you get into that, because I knew that his body language, the fact that he dropped his head and put his hand in his pocket and started kicking rocks around, I knew that he was going into some talking points, some pre-rehearsed, canned, repeatable talking points, cliched, whatever you want to call them, right? I knew that's where he was going. So I said to him, when he said, well, let me ask you a question. When does life begin? I said, hold on for a second. I said, because remember, I said, my question to you was, how is this helpful to our cause? So first of all, before you get into all of that stuff, I need you to know that you and I are on the same team. I said, I am pro-life. I am on your team. I said, and I began to break down my resume. I said, I spent years, and many of you know me, if you follow me online, man, listen, I have spent years delivering keynotes to help raise funds. We have raised millions of dollars for pregnancy centers that are able to help young women in these pregnancy situations where they're having a tough choice. And this is a real serious deal. This is nothing to play with. It's nothing you just flippantly say, oh, don't kill your baby and call a woman a murderer because she chose abortion. You don't do that. That is unloving. Unloving. And some of the most godly people on the planet can be the most unloving people. And that ain't Jesus. And you also, on the other side, you don't say, I don't think it's right to just say, well, that's not a man's place to tell a woman to do with her body. It's more complicated than that. This thing is deep. It's not easy. It's not simple. And so this guy is already about to jump on some talking points and simplify this conversation. I says, no, you don't get to do that, brother, because this is who I am. This is what I've been. And this is what I've done. I've raised millions of dollars for this cause. Now, I said, listen, the difference between you and me is related to the question that I just asked you about this picture right here. With these dead babies. I said, how is this picture helpful to our cause? How is this helpful? His response, so just understand, this was about a 45-minute conversation in total between him and the other young man. Eventually, both of them together went a bunch of different ways. Just some of the things that I wanted to point out, because here I think what this is about really is having the courage to confront somebody who's on your team. Having something on the inside of you that says, I don't go for just anything, even if you say you on my team. Even if you say as a matter of fact, if you tell me we on the same team, I'm holding you more accountable for your behavior than somebody else. If you tell me that you're a believer in Jesus Christ, I'm holding you more accountable for being loving, for being truthful, compassionate, long-suffering. All of these things that's supposed to embody the life of a believer. I'm holding you more accountable. And here he is with these pictures of these aborted children. One of the things that he said that first jumped out to me, he said, well, listen, this is truth. This is truth. I said, oh. So what you're saying to me is that your goal is to win people to our cause. Because you and I want the same thing. We actually want to stop children from being hurt. And I also want to stop women from being hurt. I believe abortion hurts women and children, and I'm in line. I don't want women and children to be hurt. So we agree on that part. Now, your way of being is different than mine because I would never display this picture. But you're telling me that this is truth. My friend, listen. Listen, folks. Truth, words mean something. Don't ever let somebody control a definition of any particular word. Don't do that. If you want to have a conversation and you want to push people to think and grow and stand up for what you believe in, you got to learn what words mean and how to use them properly and how to communicate something. Because for me, I was trying to communicate something to this guy. And my overall communication was, bro, we on the same team. I don't like this tactic. And I told him many times in that conversation, brother, you look like a crazy person. And you say your goal is to win people to our cause. Because I know that's my goal. Listen, you talking about somebody who has been on stage multiple times, raised millions of dollars for pregnancy centers, spent time building the bullpen. Look that up on YouTube. Henry Flowers Building the Bullpen, where we gather a group of guys who are available to volunteer at the pregnancy centers. So when the ladies come in and they're getting talked to, hey, the guy who had something to do with it, he can a guy can be there and say, hey, listen, I'm Henry Flowers. I've been where you are. I made some of the choices you think you might want to make. How can I help you through this situation? Because many of them come into these situations and they don't necessarily want an abortion. They want information. They want to know how to bring peace to the situation that they didn't plan. And so our job is to give them information. But number one, our job is to be loving to people. Jesus said, well, I feel a fire. Jesus said, by loving kindness have I drawn you. By loving kindness have I drawn you. He didn't say truth is what drew you. Even if I accepted his premise that this was truth, that ain't what Jesus said I drew you with. Why are you trying to draw other people with something that Jesus didn't draw you with? You running people away is what I told him. I said, these pictures allow you to be marginalized as a crazy person. Well, this is truth. I said, never do that again. I said, don't do that to me. Listen, the word truth means something. Truth is something that is declared. Truth is something that a foundation can be built upon. Truth is based upon authority that comes from somebody who has the ability to enforce it. There's no foundation on these pictures, these graphic images. I said, that is somebody's baby. Look at that picture. I didn't want to look at it again, but on the front of it, it was a dismembered baby, bloody body, and you could actually see a face. This was a horrible picture. And it moved me in a terrible way. And he's telling me that's truth. There's a whole lot of things that's truth. No, what you're doing is you're presenting facts. This is what an abortion results in. You're presenting facts. I'm just saying to you, brother, Jesus Christ didn't lead you or draw you by facts. That is not the way. I'm not going to get through this on one podcast. I can already see. There's so much. Man, listen. And so he says, well, this is truth. And I explain what it says. So the next thing he said, ooh. If I didn't make you mad before, I'm about to make you mad now. You about to get mad now because he tried me. This next statement, he tried me. He says, well, listen, there are times where people need to see reality. You remember Emmett Till and his mama and what she did and displayed Emmett Till's body. If you don't know about Emmett Till, he was lynched. He was a kid. He was like, what was he, 14 maybe? 13, a kid, and they dragged him. White man dragged him out of the house and beat him because he supposedly whistled at a white girl. And so they beat him so bad back in his earlier on, they beat him so bad and left his body, and his mama said that we will not have a closed casket. I want the world to see what they did to my baby. I want the world to know what racism looks like. And so they displayed the body of Emmett Till. And then he mentioned a Dr. King quote. Now, I love all people. And I never try to be intentionally provocative. But you know what I also don't do? I don't let people play games with me. Because I'm no joke. I've been around too long. I done learned too many things about the gospel, and you don't get to hoodwink me. I'm too sharp up here. So here's the picture. Now, this is where I'm about to make you mad. Because I said to him, I said, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. See, people try to manipulate you in a way, this emotional lever that he tried to pull. You see how he tried to come alongside me? So here's a young white male using Emmett Till and Dr. King. What is he trying to do? He's trying to come alongside me and leverage himself to push me over, to get me to stop on the avenue that I'm going. Let me talk about Emmett Till. Let me talk about Dr. King, something that I think he believes in. It's called virtue signaling, y'all. Virtue signaling. When people want to jump on something and harp on a subject that you believe, that they know you believe is virtuous. Oh, he's a black man, so he feels Dr. King is virtuous. Let me mention the Dr. King quote because I want him to come on my side. Oh, this is a black man, so he probably remembers Emmett Till. So let me mention that so he can get the connection between showing somebody's body and having some people's lives change, because the Emmett Till picture changed people's lives. Yeah, I'm doing the air quotes. You see that? You see that? So I'm never intentionally provocative, but I don't allow people to play games with my mind. I ain't nothing to play with here. So I said to him, let me ask you a question. You mentioned Emmett Till and Dr. King. I just want to ask you a question. Do you mention those two people only to black people? And is there a reason that you use those two people? He didn't have a response. I said, yeah, so let me ask you. So let me just tell you, since you can't really answer that question, let me tell you how you sound. As a white male talking to a black man about Dr. King and Emmett Till. Let me tell you how you sound. Boy, if he could have killed me, it wouldn't have been enough. He got mad. You ever seen somebody get mad to where their face starts shaking uncontrollably? His face started shaking, and I didn't care. I didn't care because I don't let people play around with me and play around with words. I said, let me tell you how you sound, because the irony is just the irony shines like the sun. The fact that you would mention Emmett Till and Dr. King, two people that you say should bring something to me when it comes to sharing truth, and this is truth. This lady shined a light on what racism looks like. This is her baby. She refused to have a closed casket. I want everybody to see. She showed a dead body. That was his reasoning for justifying showing these pictures of dead bodies. And I said, you know what? Let me tell you how you sound to me. You sound to me like somebody who is saying, this is the reason, because black folks went through this, that this picture is okay. And because Dr. King said this, you should be okay with ending abortion. Let me tell you what I'm not okay with. I'm not okay with the irony that shines like the sun. This is the part where he really wanted to kill me. I said, Emmett Till and Dr. King are no longer with us because of the brutality of white men. Both of them.
Bam.
Now here you are as a young white male virtue signaling these two people when your people killed them. It's possible that both of them would be here today had it not been for the brutality of white men. I told you I was going to make you mad. Boy, if he could have killed me, it wouldn't have been enough. He walked away. He walked away. He walked away. He walked off. He didn't walk away. He walked off. And the younger man wanted to talk to me now. I said, it's fine, he can go away, because listen, you want to talk about truth? This is truth. Everybody has their own experiences. And everybody is in a certain situation because of things that they've been through. And I think as believers, we just have to be careful about the tactics that we are willing to use in order to win somebody. Jesus says, loving kindness is how I have drawn you, and there was nothing loving or kind about this brutal picture of a murdered child, a dead child. The abortionist dismembered this child, and here's this picture. You can see a face. And I'm supposed to see that as truth, and I'm supposed to let that remind me of Dr. King in some kind of virtuous way, and see Emmett Till and that's supposed to feel good to me? Because remember my opening question to him, and I'm talking to his younger partner now. I said my opening question was how was this helpful? Because right now I'm enraged at your attempt to justify displaying a dead body. I said, that's somebody's baby. That picture is somebody's baby. Talking to the young man, I said, and he said, so I think I said, oh, this is when I talked to the young guy. This is when I really got him. The young guy was sharing some things, and he had a couple of good points. I said, listen, well, so this is the exact thing that we say we don't want to be in the pro-life world. The ability to be able to display the picture of a dead, dismembered baby tells me that you have somehow allowed yourself to dehumanize the person in this picture. One of the tenets of the foundation of the pro-life work is that it's a life. It's a child. Listen, in what other area would it be okay to display the picture of a dead body? I served in the Desert Storm War. You remember some of the things that were happening overseas when they were dragging soldiers through the streets and burning them and hanging them up on stakes? There was some point where those videos got taken down. Why? Because we don't want to see the bodies of fallen soldiers. It's just not right. We're never going to let that happen. Is that truth? That's somebody's child. How would the mother of that fallen soldier feel? That's somebody's child. That's why we don't allow those things. And here you are trying to virtue signal, talking to me about Dr. King and Emmett Till, and to justify this picture of somebody's child. It's a person, the very foundation of our faith in the pro-life work, and you have violated. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to say. They had never been challenged on this before. Listen, I can go on. I tell you, I'm really not going to be able to finish this in one podcast. Listen, this was an opportunity for me to take a look at what I say that I am. Because I am staunchly pro-life, and I understand the whole picture. I talked to you last week. If you've been keeping up with the podcast, you've gone through if you've gone through the self-esteem 3-part series, the last scripture that I mentioned was that of compassion. Being able to have compassion for the sheep because they were led astray and they were tormented. That's what Jesus was. He says he had compassion on them because they were sheep without a shepherd. And so for me, as this person who believes in pro-life, I also believe in compassion. I understand that nobody says, you know what, I'm gonna wake up this morning and go kill my baby. No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. People go through tough times and they end up in situations that they did not plan on. And so for you to display this picture and say, well, that's just true, we want you to stop killing your babies, you come across as somebody who lacks compassion. And just like your behavior in displaying this picture of somebody's body, that's a person, just like that corrupts the foundation of personhood, your lack of compassion for people who are in the situation where they have to choose abortion, that is anti-Christ. And these are some of the things that we have to deal with as believers. We got to be willing to confront the things in our lives that are not like Christ. And sometimes it takes somebody else to be able to do it and to show you your stuff. Jesus says when a man looks in the mirror, he sees himself and then he walks away and he forgets what manner of person he is. That is not who we've been called to be. And here are these people, I'm just trying to say, brothers, listen, we are on the same team. It's just that I think this tactic that you are using is deplorable. I would never do it, and I wish you would stop. I said, so not only are you pulling down the foundation of personhood, I said, you fall into the realm of someone who exploits children. This is when the other guy walked back up. It says, you are exploiting children. You are exploiting the death of this child right here. This picture that you got, we ain't gonna talk about the other ones you got around this corner. We're gonna talk about this one right here that I'm standing behind. You are exploiting the death of this child because that's somebody's child. You are using that to try to sway people or shock people into saying, yeah, abortion is wrong. And I'm saying to you, it's wrong to exploit children. Now tell me again how this is helpful. And I just let him sit with it, mama. I wouldn't let him off the hook. I wasn't going nowhere. 45 minutes we sat there in the hot sun. I wouldn't let him go. And the younger guy says, well, I wouldn't use the term exploit. I would use the term, and I forget what word he used. But I didn't let him off the hook. I told you I don't do that. I don't let people off the hook. I said, I love how you said that. I wouldn't use the word exploit. And then you use this word. I said, do you know why you wouldn't use the word exploit? I said, because there is a reason. I said, you wouldn't use the word exploit because the word exploit has a negative connotation. That's why you use this other word. But just understand, you can play with words all day long, but just what you are doing, the functionality of what you are doing fits the definition of exploiting children. If you agree, like I do, that every child in the womb is actually a child and a person. Because if you don't believe that, then there's a serious flaw in what you believe is the pro-life foundation. And if you believe that it is a person and this is definitely a child, then you are exploiting children. What does the word exploit mean? It means to use something for your own benefit. To take advantage of a certain situation for your own gain. Ooh, you see how tricky that is? You see, I hope y'all see this. Because there may be a time where you're going to have to confront somebody that's on your team, that's in your family, somebody that you love, somebody that's doing the same work that you're doing. There's something on the inside of you saying, go talk to that person and let them know. There's a coworker. You know what they did. It was corrupt and underhanded, and it might cost some other people their job. And you saw them do it. And the Holy Spirit is telling you, go talk to them and tell them you saw what they did. Confront them. But most of us, man, just like sheep, we don't like confrontation. But to be in Christ is to be at least available to confrontation. It's called powerful living. It's called not letting somebody pull the wool over your eyes. It's called being a voice for the voiceless. You know, Jesus did say that we should speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. Take up their cause. It's in the scripture. He says, take up their cause. You do it. And so here's this opportunity that you have to confront somebody, just like I was confronting this young man. And it was difficult. I'd never done this before. I'd never felt that way. I've seen those pictures before, and I just kind of ignore them. I try not to look at them in detail. But I'm just telling you, Mama, this was a big picture, full color. This was like HD. I pulled over. I wouldn't use the word exploit. Yeah, don't let people control the narrative. See, Jesus says, by loving kindness have I drawn you. And here you are hoping to win somebody to your cause through the exploiting of the children that you say you are here to defend. There's something wrong here. And they just sat with it. They just sat with it. And we sat there, we went back and forth, and I just wouldn't let him move. He wanted to talk about other things and talk about this. I wouldn't let him go. I would not let him off the hook. Yeah, exploiting children. And then the guy, SpongeBob Angry Man, that's not, I shouldn't have said that. That ain't right. But he didn't get angry. Oh, he got angry. I'll tell you, his face was trembling. He comes back and he gets on his little pedestal, and I let him talk for a few minutes. I had done enough of what I thought I had come there to do. And he got on his soapbox and he said, man, these are children. Do you know that just 0.5 million babies have been killed since 1973? And I say, yep, I know that, because remember I told you that I'm pro. I've been, yeah. And it's just this, and it's mostly in the black community. Yeah, I know, trust me, I know better than you, young white male, about what's going on in the black community. I am from Detroit. And there's this and this, and he just went on and on his soapboxes. And then he said this: I want to win them by any means necessary. By any means necessary. Let me explain something to you. Brothers and sisters in Christ, be careful about being a movement against something. Because in being against something, you run the risk of becoming the exact opposite evil. I'm going to say it again. Being against something, trying to eradicate something, you can run the risk of becoming the exact opposite evil. By any means necessary. They're triplets. This whole idea about by any means necessary, the end justifies the means, and win at all costs. Those are the triplets that lead you down a slippery slope of becoming that which you despise. So I said, you do realize that this idea of by any means necessary, you do realize that that is a military mindset, and that it's dangerous because you can quickly become the thing that you despise. And I said to him, boy, he got mad again. I'm gonna make you mad. I said, that is Antichrist. We really got to get what the term Antichrist means. Antichrist does not necessarily mean devil. No. Antichrist means the exact thing that Christ is, you are the opposite. You remove that thing that is Christ. You're the opposite. That this whole win at all cost, by any means necessary, the end justifies the means. I'm gonna tell you, Jesus did not even have that attitude. Now here's a guy who's standing, these two guys, they're standing on foundations of Christianity, saying we're doing the Lord's work. But you're doing the Lord's work, but you don't have the Lord's mindset. Listen, in the scriptures, it says there are certain things that he would not do. He would not raise his voice. He would not break He would not break the softest reed. There's something, I think it's in the book of Isaiah. There were certain things that he would not do in order to accomplish the cause. There were certain things that he would not do. As a matter of fact, it says, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, who listen, he disregarded everything that he was and is and became humble. He humbled himself unto death, and even the death of the cross. He says, listen, do you not think that I cannot pray to my Father? And he will not send a legion of angels to deliver me. He didn't do it. Why? Because he knew he didn't come to do everything at that moment. He came to do a certain thing, and that was to die to himself. He came here to die. He did not have a by any means necessary attitude. Win at all costs. No, he is the winner. He is victorious. From the foundation of the world, he won. So therefore, there are certain things that Jesus says, I don't need to do that. I've already won. But here we are coming to do the Lord's work. Oh boy, how many people have been hurt by somebody pumping their fists and doing the Lord's work? You do know there's a certain segment of society, or a secret society from back in the day, that used to terrorize black folks. You do know they were doing that in the name of the Lord. Something for you to think about. They got mad. They got mad again. He got mad again. And I just didn't care. I just didn't care because these are people that are on my team. And I think it's a good thing to win people to the pro-life stance. And I have done that. I have never heard anybody say, I came to the conclusion that abortion is wrong because I saw a picture of dismembered baby parts. Now, he said that he had those experiences. Okay. I don't know how you can prove that. But here's one thing I can prove. Everybody who looks at this picture is appalled. No matter what side they're on, they are appalled because when they see this, they see a baby. And your desire to display this picture for the sake of your cause, to try to win people to your cause at any cost, you have become the thing that you despise. Oh, man. I can sit back and I can think of some of the other things that they said. And I'm just telling you, I didn't let them go. I let him off the hook, and after a long conversation, about 45 minutes, the tall young man said, I'm inspired. He said, I'm inspired. He didn't say I was angry. He said, I'm inspired. Listen, I know my life had changed because, like I told you, I'd never confronted people like this. And after that was over, I sat in my car and I went home, and I'm telling you, likely a day has not gone by where I haven't thought about that conversation because it was so engaging. It was so in depth. I was saying things that I had never said before. Truth was coming out. Truth was being declared by me that I had never heard myself declare before. I was making connections that I had never made before because I never engaged in this conversation before. I never felt the need to confront somebody who was on my team. And this young man says, I'm inspired. For me, that's a victory. Listen, I just want to run through this. This is Galatians chapter 2. This is the Apostle Paul, and just so you know, the Apostle Paul is the reason why the gospel spread abroad from Jerusalem and Judea. He took the gospel abroad and to the uttermost parts, Antioch and Rome and all these other places over there. And it spread abroad into Greek and Philippi and all these other places where he was writing letters to the churches. And here he is in Galatia. He's coming back because he's hearing about Peter and some of Peter's behavior. And that some of Peter's behavior is not good and is not representing Christ. And here he is in Galatians chapter 2. I'll just read briefly verse 11 and start there. He says, "But when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to the face." That means I confronted him face to face because he was to be blamed. He had something against Peter. For before that certain time came from, For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles. But when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision. And the other Jews disassembled likewise with him, insomuch that Barnabas was also carried away with their foolishness. Listen, I'm going to read the New Living Translation, right? Here we go. "But when Peter came to Antioch, I had to oppose him to his face, for what he did was very wrong." Is the Apostle Paul confronting somebody? He's saying, dude, what you doing? That's wrong. "When he first arrived, he ate with the Gentile believers who were not circumcised." They didn't do the traditional thing that Jews were supposed to do to represent the fact that they were with Christ. Okay, there's certain things. Okay, and then here's Peter. He's with Gentiles, uncircumcised Gentiles during the daytime. He says, "But afterward, when some friends of James came, Peter would eat with the Gentiles no more." He was afraid of criticism from these people who insisted on the necessity of circumcision. As a result, other Jewish believers followed Peter's hypocrisy, and even Barnabas was led astray by their hypocrisy. See, Paul is concerned about people being led astray by the actions that you're taking. And Paul is saying, dude, listen, if you're going to be with the Gentiles, then be with them. And don't be ashamed of the thing that you're doing. But you're being with them by night, and then you're running from them during the other time when the other people come around because you don't want them to know that you're hanging out with them. You're trying to play both sides. Paul says, stop that. You're leading people astray. One particular person has fallen astray, Barnabas. Paul says, stop that. Listen, folks, there's going to be an opportunity for you to confront somebody that's on your team. And powerful living is about being extraordinary. It's not being ordinary. Ordinary people just sit by and watch stuff happen and don't do what God tells them to do. Ordinary people will sit by, and when something's occurring outside, instead of running to help, you run to your phone and record. What kind of people have we become? See, there's going to be a time where you got to confront the status quo. Young people, you got all these opportunities nowadays with social media. You can control your voice. Your voice can reach out to the entire world. And there are certain things that's going on in this society that you get the opportunity to stand up and speak out against. But possibly you don't want to do it because you don't want this certain group of people to know that you actually are a Christian. Listen, stop that. Stop it. There's an opportunity for you to inspire somebody and change their life, just like I changed that young man's life. He left saying, I'm inspired, after a 45-minute conversation that I did not plan. And I'm telling you, my life changed as a result. That was the first time that I had confronted people who display those pictures. But it won't be the last. No. You know me. You know me. I've been beat up too many times and just on the streets of Detroit to be scared of getting beat up. You can beat me up, I'm just saying I'm going to do it again. Because the dude had on a camera. He had on a body cam. I said, why are you wearing a body cam? He said, man, some people get violent. Really? He's like, yeah, man, some people get violent, want to attack you over this stuff. I said, well, I guess I understand why. See, not every good thing is a God thing. It's a good thing to persuade people to the pro-life conversation, to persuade them. It's a good thing to do, but it may not be a God thing to do it this way. That's where we need to have discernment and clarity and pray about it. Pray, man, I don't know if those guys will change their tactics, but I do know this. The next time I see somebody displaying those pictures, I have a question to ask them. And you know I'm going to do it. you know I'm going to do it. You know why? Because I'm Henry Flowers, Powerful Living Outreach Ministries. I ain't going nowhere. I'm coming back.